Hey,
How are you doing?
good. You're looking so sharp. What's going on?
Well, we have a evening out, yachad or something.
Date night.
As long as it doesn't turn into a late night, that's okay.
Nah. Little steak, little chicken. You guys stay in town for Yontif?
Yes, yes, all my kids are coming from Canada and the US.
Wow.
It should be quite nice.
That sounds great.
Yep. You?
Yeah, we go to the beach. We go to Oxnard. All right. Where is everybody today?
Slow start. Are we on Labates?
I don't remember where we stopped in Shul on Shabbos because I go to another shir and I get a little mixed up. In my other shir, I'm on Lamites. I'm at Aleph. I think we made it through Lam. Yeah, we're on Lamites on the top of the page. I remember.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Ed.
How are you?
Hi. Hi, Kenny.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Mario.
Hello,
Hello.
hello
Walter.
everybody. How are you?
Good.
Okay.
Walter, did you see Mike on your trip?
No, I tried to, but Ilana said wouldn't. No, actually texted with Ilana Erev Shabbat.
Quiet.
He's in bad shape again.
Yeah, bad, really bad. Yeah. Okay. You should have a fresh lamer. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Where's Dr. Agatstein? Oh,
Oh. Very nice.
Lamites. The tushim are assets to Baal Korcha. That assets that the owners had to flee. Like it says, Vashvi'i tishmetena unitashta. It's taken away from him against his will. So, for example, Avkasa de Malka, in that case, it was Hashem who tells you to leave your assets alone So it's against your will that you're leaving your assets. That's what's called netushim. Ritushim with a reish is midaiton. The owners think that he's going to lose money, so he abandons his field. Dichsiv im albonim rutasha. Tana, the kulan shamilem ka'aris. If a relative goes into these fields to work, he's only paid like a sharecropper. Now the Gemara asks, Ayon, what part? Ilay mashvuyin. If we're talking the case where someone's taken hostage, and he left a piece of land, and a relative goes in. So hashta zois v'niskar have. There we learned that if he planted crops, he's allowed to harvest the crops before he has to leave, before the guy comes back. So that the fact that he improved the property, is there any shaila that he can take that? The retushim. These lands that he left midas. It says we take it away from him. So he's not, if a relative goes in to such a field, we take it away from him. Ella must be netushim, which was against his will. Nalaman. Imam Rabbanon, if we're talking about the sheet of the Chachamim, the Chachamim said take him out of there. Must be Rav Shimon Gamliel, but he said, "Omar Shomati she hanetushim kishvuyim." Netushim are like prisoners, which is even better than an oris, because you're allowed to keep like we said, you can harvest the crops and keep that. So Rav Shimon Gamliel holds it's kishvuyim, avalo kishvuyim.
By the way, Ernie, this Gemara is very apropos to what happened now,
Yes.
because these people are taken away and their lands are lying fallow, or they're going to think somebody's going to have to harvest them. It's not so simple, or especially some of the Shvuim and also the people in the north. They had to move.
Exactly. So they're like shvuyin and not like shvuyin. Kishvuyin she'ein motzinaso miyado. You don't kick them off the field, but not like shvuyin. Dino hasu by shvuyin. There, if someone is zorius, if zorius v'niskar, if he sees that there's crops and he can harvest before the people comes back to reclaim their field, he can keep it. Like ours, but in this case, he doesn't get that. He only gets paid like a sharecropper. Why is it different? Like what we learned in the Mishnah, a wife brings in land to her marriage, and the husband spends expenses on the land. And then he divorced her, or he dies, and she gets the property back, and he improved the property. Hotzi Harbe. Now remember, a husband is allowed to eat payros from such a field while they're married, and we don't care. Hotzi Harbe v'achol kima. He spent $100,000 on the field, but only ate $10,000 of fruit. Or achal kima v'achol hotzi kima v'achol harbe. He spent $10,000 and he ate $100,000. Masha hotzi, masha achal. We don't make a cheshbon with him. What he paid in expenses, he paid. What he ate. So how can you say shamin and ka'aris? Aloidami aloha. It's comparable to the following case. If the father can marry off his minor daughter, and that is kiddushin midoraisa. But if the mother or the brothers married her off, it's only kiddushin d'rabbanan, and she can do miyun at any time and walk away and nullify the marriage. Such a husband paid expenses for his wife who was a katan, which is not midin Torah. So there is kemotza nechse acher dam. There, if I see my neighbor's field is fallow because he's been taken prisoner and I pay expenses on it, we pay him back his expenses. Same thing by a husband and a katan. Why? Alma, kiven de loisam chadaita, he knows that she can get rid of him at any time. So takinu rabbanon ki echel lov sedinu. On the other hand, we don't want the field to go bad, so we give an incentive to the husband that if he pays expenses for the field, he'll get him back. Chanami takinu rabbanon ki echel lov sedinu. Same case in this case by the Karov who went into a Shavuos field, he's allowed to get his expenses back. Now, it says Kulan Shamin Lahen Ka'aris. All these cases, we evaluate what he would be paid as a sharecropper.
What does that mean exactly, paid as a sharecropper?
A sharecropper gets 20% of what he harvests, 30% of what he harvests. It's a way of negotiating with the person who's working on your field, a certain way of paying him.
It's a guy who's he works hours. Basically, he gets paid for working on cutting the produce.
It's
Yeah, but
commission, meaning he gets a
but he
portion of the
doesn't get
sales, or he's getting an
doesn't get
hourly wage.
He doesn't get an hourly wage. He gets
No, it's not.
20%.
He works out a deal.
He gets a certain percentage of that's a sharecropper.
And is there a flat fee? Like when we say, I mean, we keep saying ka'aris, is that assuming that all arisim get the same amount unless otherwise stipulated?
The aris would it's not a fixed amount. It's negotiated based on the type of produce, I guess, that's in the field, et cetera, et cetera.
And then I
Sometimes-
don't know why we keep saying that he gets paid
that means
ka'aris, because nobody's here to negotiate with the guy.
no Besdin.
Yeah, but
Besdin
yeah,
is a standard rate.
there's a going rate. There's a
Besdin
going rate for
will step
a salesperson. The going rate for being a sharecropper. There has to be a going rate. The Beis Din knows what it is.
Besdin does it. I'll read you the Shulchan Aruch. Shavui, you have a hostage, like in Gaza. No, the kibbutzim who had to leave. V'chein beirech ma'oines. He had to run away. Shemorid in Korov Nechos. There we do bring a relative into the field. Hakarov oived behem. So the Korov can work there. V'mchazra shavui. The hostage comes back. Mechashiv makarv ki ilo haya aris. He pays his Karov as if he was a sharecropper. V'noitil es chelko. He gets the share. Hein b'shvach v'hein b'peirus. Both. The aris gets a certain percentage of the improvement in the field as well as the peirus. Keshitas Rambam v'Ramban. According to the Ramah, he only gets the shvach, like an aris. Aval the peirus she'achal ein motzim yado. He can keep all the pears that he ate. According to the Ramah, he doesn't have to pay back that. By the way, to answer Kenny, Hatur Hevi B'Shem Rashi. Oh, a third shita. Shebezdin Machaj Makar B'Chol Shana V'Nois B'Notzchar Ka'aris. Bezdin pays him as a sharecropper, and they do the negotiation with them how much he's getting it. But by the way, after the Civil War, when, at least on the surface, the African Americans had certain rights in the South, but it was very hard for them to buy land. They became sharecroppers. They went into arrangements with the owner of the field where they would work and they would get 30% of the produce. And there was a standard rate of what you'd be paid as a sharecropper. That's why you sometimes hear African Americans like in the 50s or 60s saying, "Oh, I was the children of sharecroppers." That he came from a very poor. The sharecroppers didn't make a lot.
Made nothing. They made nothing.
Right.
Subsistence.
That's right. They were negotiated down, but that was the going rate, but they were able to live. Whatever, they were able to keep a certain amount of the fruit and keep it for their family and also sell it. Same thing in Chazal's time. Okay, so we said v'kulan shamin lahen karis, v'kulan lasuye. Who is this coming to include? We're talking about a hostage. Yotzel Ladas. The guy left on his own cognizance. I mean, he knew what he was doing. Then ain't my reading Karl Nechasa. You don't put a family there. Rav Nachman Dido Amar, Boireach, that's somebody who leaves a field knowingly. So you would put a korov there. Now, Borech Machmas Mai. Why did the owner of the field run away? Karga was the tax that, as a property owner, you had to pay to the king. And let's say he couldn't pay it, or he didn't want to pay it. So I knew Ladas. So that's a person knowingly, he knows why he's leaving his field. He weighed the pros, the cons, decided it's best for me to abandon the field. So it can't be Boireach Machmas Karga, Ela Boireach Machmas Martin. People are trying to kill him. And he has to run away. So
there's an allegation that he killed somebody. That's why they're chasing him.
He's being chased as a murderer.
Correct.
So he's running away again.
Running away.
It's against his, he has no choice. So that's why he's like a shovel. I remember Shmuel, Shovel Shenishba, if somebody was taken prisoner, and let's say it's right before harvest time, like what Walter was talking about in the South. There's wheat to be harvested, anavim lived, grapes to be plucked, tmorim ligdom, dates to be taken, zaysim limsuk, and there's going to be a huge loss based in Yordan Nechas of Mamidim Apatrovus. So here's a new din, not a korov. Beis Din appoints an executor. In koitzer uboitzer v'goider umoisek. So the executor takes care of the immediate needs.
Why can't a korov do that?
Achar kach moirin korov nechasa.
But why can't a korov do that? Why do we have to have the government get involved?
Because maybe it's a time issue.
Or maybe he's not
ready to
professional
go.
enough. He'll lose. They lose some of the fruit. By the way, you see,
you're talking about there's a week left. So this is like a professional.
It has to be like a professional manager comes in and takes care of it. But
Rashi says la'achnis davra muchan until you find a korov who, what, where, what.
Right.
So they put somebody in there, Kenny. Like I said, this is the harvest is due 2 days from now. And then the Gemara said, then you put the korov in afterwards.
By the way, that's why you have all these volunteers that have gone to the South and stayed in the South, and they're volunteering. We're even better than it was before. So they're volunteering to pick everything, because otherwise, it's going to go rotten. Listen, I remember in the Yom Kippur War, basically, when we were on the Jordanian border, there was one guy left, and he had a combine, and the cotton was going to rot. And basically, we worked from 4 o'clock till 4 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And he used to dump all the cotton into the thing so that it could be harvested. And then we used to stomp it down. That was our job. So that the job was, because otherwise the harvest would be dead. So the cotton would disappear. It wouldn't be worth anything afterwards. And so that's what happened in the South now. Also, they're picking everything. And you have a lot of volunteers, Dr. Gift, everybody. They flew to Israel. They work for a month in a place, and they're basically harvesting all the time. So apropos Gemara, it's crazy Gemara.
Now,
True.
now, the Gemara asks the opposite of the question that Kenny asked. If all of a sudden we've been introduced to an apotropos, v'lukim apotropos lo'olam, why did we start this whole Gemara talking about kroivim? You have a professional manager, put a professional manager every time. So the Gemara answers, apotropa l'diknoni lo mukmina. For adults, because we're talking about adults. So the concept of apotropos is for yisoimim, tanim, not for adults. The apotropos is used temporarily until you get a korv in there. Ein bezdin torchin levakish apotropos lanoshim gedolim shnismali zekonim. They have a beard. Lefi shaloyim tzu, you're not going to find enough. The mishma litzi ikidisham levavi apotropos ledvar mitzvah for a short time and for a dvar mitzvah. We don't do it for adults. Okay. The Shulchan Aruch says, "Kiven shein matzu sheyirtza adam liyopos apotropos avra anoshim migdolim uvnei das." No one's going to want to serve as an executive for adults. Ein bezdin mishtadin lamid nichsei shavli la'olam yad apotropos. Says the Ramah, "Lotza adam b'mitzvah zu matov." Like Walter's saying, if you want to be a good Samaritan and do a mitzvah to help your friend, you can do it.
Yeah, but I
I'm
think
saying that Yoresh, a family can protest, and I don't want the apotropos.
because the family has skin in the game. They have to improve. They have skin in the game. So it's like this is a business lecture.
Yeah,
I sent you this. I sent you what he said.
yeah, it was good.
It's a business. It's a business. The best apotropos, the best professional manager, is still not as good as the
I
worst
think I think it's an argument of government versus private family business, private enterprise. Who does a better job?
Maybe. Well, Walter was saying the same thing. A family is incentivized more because they have skin in the game. It's there.
Right, but here we have this whole thing of, it's about to be harvested, the base and the government steps in.
They don't want a catastrophic financial loss for the people. And they understood that until the Kroivim decide amongst themselves who's going to be the korv that goes in there, etc.
I think I'd make the argument that you see that Chazal were reluctant to step in as a government. They were reluctant to step in as an apotropos, meaning you need limited government.
I think
That's
you're
true.
reading.
That's true.
But I think you're reading into the Gemara basically
The
with.
rabbi agrees with me.
It's okay.
I definitely.
He can agree with you that basically they were the point
They limited how much they did. They let the family do as much as possible.
No,
There was only a certain case where they got involved and put in an
No, but it's
apotropos.
not the government getting involved. It's basically the base.
The Basin was the government. That was the government.
Okay, but can I say something? I know that you have that idea, but the point of the matter is sometimes you had people that were not able to do this in the quick manner that they needed to be done. It's not that the government was interfering. This is like a Hashavas Aveda. If you let this go, you're making the family lose money.
I agree. All I'm saying is that was the one case where they got involved. They could have gotten involved in every case and said,
It
no,
was
no,
a
no.
one- it was a
Ein Yardim
one-off.
L'Sadeh, and we're going to take care of this through Apishopsim. They didn't do it.
Right? It was a one-off, only in this.
Right.
We're not a socialist. Yiddishkeit's not socialist. Don't worry.
Sort of.
On Ravuna.
No, it's not.
Well, we have all these social society things. We have, Gimulus Chasadim and Bikur Cholem and
That's
Tzedakah.
true,
That's
but
all.
when
But it's not- But it's not forced. Kenny,
business
it's not
is
forced.
business.
It's
But
not
business
forced.
is
You
business.
We have
you
property ownership rights that are strong.
You get mitzvahs when you do that. You're not forced to do Gemilas.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You were
But you do
forced to
see
give
there is a
Truma-
sense of social welfare
There
that's
was
inherent.
there was wealth distribution, Trumas and Maestras to certain
But
segments of
Yovel,
society.
Yovel
Shemitah,
was
you have
redistributed.
Shemitah and Yovel.
Yovel was like pure Marxism. Everything went back.
Yeah, but we don't have Nachalas Achuza anymore. Nachalas Avoitza that went away.
We have a third base of Mikdash. Are we not going to have Yovel?
No, I don't, because once Yoshua was Moirish to the various Shvatim their lands, but then it got lost. They sold off.
But
it all.
Yovel was to prevent ultimate wealth, a billionaire society. No, am I wrong?
Okay, but in the year 850, I mean 800, after 850 years, the Yovel stopped. We haven't had the Yovel.
Because we blew it. Not because that was a good thing. It stopped because we screwed up. No?
I tell you where you make it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a present of to Klal Yisrael, of Eretz Yisrael. The land really belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you want to know the truth. That's why you can never give up hope on the land of Israel, because it's something that doesn't belong to us. If it doesn't belong to us, then Lechoira, every 50 years, right, it reverts back to the family that had it originally, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave that present to. That doesn't even work today. But that was the concept. It's not a socialist and it's not a communist
It's
concept.
a Marxist concept of redistribution of land. Person
and
gambles away. In year one, person goes to Las Vegas, he gambles away his Yerush, his Nachla. He gets it back in 49 years.
He gets back his Nachala in 49 years. He gets back his family in Nachala because the Kodesh Baruch Hu gave it to each Shevet, and each Shevet gave it to each person that Nachala. That's all. The Nachala doesn't disappear because it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's. Eretz Yisrael is different. You know how difficult it is. It's not so simple. Okay. We can argue that. I mean, and Kenny, don't worry. We'll have a separate.
Save me a piece of the rock.
What Kenny said about Besdin's not the government. There was a Malchus. There was a Nasi. There was a Sanhedrin. So there, I mean, there was a system of economics, and Besdin was part of it, not completely, wasn't only Besdin, but they were part of it. Ravuna. Ein Maridin cotton l'nichsei. When you're going to find a karov to go into a hostage's land, you cannot put a cotton there. V'lo karov l'nichsei cotton. Let's say the cotton was taken hostage, and there's a karov who stands to inherit the nichsei cotton. You don't put him in there either. Also, karov machmas karov, the relative of the relative, the nichsei cotton. You don't do that. Now, why? Ein maridin cotton nichsei shal. We don't put a cotton into the land of a hostage. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's gonna cause a financial loss. Karov machmas karov nichsei cotton. We don't pour a karov into a nichsei cotton. Who is this? Medubar ba'achi me'ima. We're talking about a brother. They have the same mother, but not the same father. So if this cotton has a brother that they share the same father, They also have a brother who shares the same mother. He's not really a relative to that cotton. Regarding Yerusha, but he's going to claim, that Korv is going to claim some kind of Yerusha rights. Therefore, v'lo Korv l'netzei cotton. Also, you don't put a Korv into the assets of the cotton. Even the lomachi, the cotton is not going to protest. He's not a ben das. The guy is going to establish a chazaka. He's going to be there for 3 years, and he's going to act as if it's his. So all of this are done to protect the cotton. Amar v'shmamina meravuna ein machzikin b'nitzei cotton. The normal rule is, if you see a piece of property and nobody's on the property, and you squat on the property, and you're there for 3 years, and nobody protests, you acquire that field b'chazaka. We're going to learn this at length in Bava Basra. The Gemara is now telling us, though, you may not obtain chazaka rights in a property of a cotton because the cotton is not going to he doesn't know enough to protest.
I don't know. We have a lot of squatters' rights in California. It's okay. I'm not sure.
Vafilu higdil. Even the cotton gets older. He didn't know maybe the cotton didn't know that it was ever his. So as long as it started off in the cotton, even after higdil, you can't establish chazaka there. The lo amaron, that which we said, that we're not moirid a korov into the nichse cotton, ela ba'achi da'aba. You're talking about he has brothers from the same father, and they have the ability to be yarsh on him. But there's not you can put a brother where they share the same mother but not the same father because he's not a Yerush. There's not a chashash because they don't have the tzad Yerusha. When we say you cannot put a brother where they share the same father, that's regarding assets, land. But houses, you could, because there are neighbors, and they can give testimony that this didn't belong to this guy. So it's only fields that is a problem. And it's also not a problem of it idita, where there was no star that documented who got this piece of land. Like other documents that Bezdin produced, it has a call. People hear about it. So everybody knows who belong, which one of the brothers owns this piece of land. But lohi, the minig is not like what he just said. Ela loishna achi da abba, v'loishna achi da ima, loishna arisa, v'loishna bati. It makes no difference whether it's a brother from the same father, the same mother, whether it's land, whether it's houses, whether there's a shtar idita, whether there isn't. Lo machtinon. We don't put a korv to nichsei cotton, it's a lo plug. So we don't want any chashash. Okay? These are very complicated choshen mishpatinim.
So what we only do in
We're
upbeat
told
shvakas?
now a story about such a case. Ahi sapta dahavile plus banta. There was an old woman who had 3 daughters. Sounds like King Lear. The old woman and one of the daughters were taken prisoner. Idich tarti banta, so 2 daughters left. Shchiva chada minayu. One of those daughters died. And left a child, so there's a granddaughter and a daughter. Omer Abai, Hechinavi. What should we do? Look, do we give all the nechasim to the remaining daughter? But maybe the old lady is dead, remember, if the woman died, so there's going to be a yoirish, the daughter and the granddaughter. The granddaughter's a cotton. So we shouldn't give the field to the daughter because she's a gadol, cotton. Because the cotton would be yorish a third. Now, nukminal next to be the yanuka. Do we give the cotton her chelek? Dilma loy shchiva sapta, but maybe the mother's has not died. And we just said, a marid and cotton, that's the shavui. If we let the cotton go into the field, she's working the field for the next shavui. We say we don't allow that because they're going to cause a financial collapse. So what do we do? Amrabai, Hilka. Pagi avina la'achta. Half of the assets we divide, give to the remaining daughter. If we assume that the mother and the daughter that were taken prisoner have died, so she's at least going to inherit half. And if they didn't die, you can put a korov into the nechse shavui. So that's not a problem. Idich palga, the remaining half, which could go to this yanuka, mukmina le'apotrupal yanuka, we appoint an executor. Because she might be the inheritor of 50% of the assets. That's how Abaya resolves it. Rava Omar, migu de mukmina le'apotrupal palga, mukmina le'apotrupal le'idich palga. Since you've already involved an executor for half of the assets, the executor can deal with all of it until we figure out what's going on. L'sof shamu d'shchiva sapta. In the end, we've heard that the mother had died. We don't know what happened to the daughter that was taken prisoner, still in Suffolk. On Rabbi Tilsi Avina Le'achsa. Okay, there's a surviving daughter, she gets a third. Tilsi Avina Le'yanuka. We give a third to the granddaughter because she's the daughter of the second daughter who died. The Idich Tilsa, the third, that perhaps this daughter who's in prison still, where we don't know what her status is, Yavin and Dankala Aksa, half of that third we give to the sister, the idich dank them lianuka. Because you're allowed to put a korov into the nichse shavui. You don't put a cotton, so the other half of that third piece you give to apotropos. Rava Omar migu de mukim apotropos danka mukmin nami apotropos idich danka. Once you put the apotropos into the half, you put him into the whole. The apotropos takes care of that whole third.
They split it. It's the same thing. One gets a third, one gets a third, and they split the second, the third.
No,
That's a half.
No,
No?
and then and then it's a sixth. A
Right,
sixth,
but
and
when
sixth
you
is
take
a
a
third.
sixth and you add it to a third and
A
a
sixth.
third,
No, a third, and then 2 sixths. A sixth and a sixth. They divide 1 6 plus 1 6 is a third. Then you have 3 thirds. And so, but the only point that Rav is bringing up is because remember, we don't allow cotton to go in. Remember, that girl still could be alive. So we're putting a korov, so we don't put a cotton in it, so we put an
right?
apotropos.
But in the end of the day, they each get a half of the property. It's just that the
No, they
administration
get a third
of it
and
is
a
on
third, and no, they
yeah, a third,
Danny,
and then
third
they
they
divide
keep-
the last third.
a third they keep as their own,
Correct.
and the third they keep as their own. The other third they have to wait until. So Robert just argued, since you're putting an apotropos into half of it, you can put the apotropos into the whole thing. That was the only point that Rava is arguing about. Another case, it's an interesting case. Mori Bar Isik, who was very wealthy, he wasn't just wealthy, it sounds like he was like the godfather. He was an olim. The Gemara is going to, we have such a notion, a powerful man that people were afraid of. It wasn't just wealthy, Doesn't always go hand in hand. Usually it can. Okay, but he was both. Also, and listen to what happened. A guy comes who claims he's his brother. From Bechel is a very far place in Bavel. He said, Plugly, I want to have 50% of whatever you have. I'm your brother. You inherited it, but I get half of it. So the rich man said, I don't know who you are. So it went to court. Also committed Rav Chizda. Amarlo. So the guy was, what's our general rule that we have in Shas everywhere regarding money?
Whoever has the
Hamotzi mechavero alav araya. Who's the motzi mechavero? Who wants the money? This brother who's coming, he wants to schlep money from this usher guy. So the responsibility is going to be on him to bring
to prove.
the proof. Well, before we get to that, also made Rav Chizda, Amrlo Shaper Karmelacha. So that means Rav Chizda accepted the notion that he doesn't recognize you. Because we have a precedent, Vayakir Yosef Kiru, right? After the 12 years that Yosef, was gone from the brothers, he recognized them. They didn't recognize him. Why? Right? He didn't have a beard. Now he had a beard. But they didn't have a beard. Now they have a beard. Right? Either way, there is a concept that you might not be able to recognize somebody who's an adult. And therefore, Zil Isi Sade.
So if this boy had come clean shaven, Mari couldn't make this claim? Meaning it's only because he has a beard, now he's a big boy?
It's only because he's adult and he has hair, facial hair. Yes.
So if he would be clean shaven, Mari couldn't make this claim.
You're making an assumption.
Asima Zokein means all the signs of maturity. There's your Adam's apple changes. A lot of things change. Rashi calls it Asima Zokein. Then that's how Chazal use it. And you could see where somebody comes with a big beard, you can't recognize him. So, what does he have to do? Zil Isi Sadi de Achvad. You want money? Fine, bring Adim that you're his brother. Isli Sadi, but I have witnesses, but they're afraid to testify because Mori Bar Isik is the godfather, and he's going to cause retribution to them. And we have such a rule. So Rav Chizda said to the godfather, Zil ant Sadi de lachachuchu. Now the presumption, the burden of proof has switched because of his status as an alime. Now you have to bring proof that you're not his brother. So Mari said, Dina Hachi? What kind
How
of
can
Dina?
you prove that? Yeah.
No, well, that's besides the point. It's going to be hard to prove that. But anyways, he challenged what do you mean? Hamotz mechaver alav aray. He wants to take money from me. The burden of proof's on him. No, the rule when we have people like you, Bezdin rules that the burden of proof shifts because of the fear of people testifying against you.
So how can they prove a negative?
Well, today they could go to the lab and check a DNA, and he'll bring proof. It's
but
not
in those days.
related.
In those days.
In those days, maybe he would bring Adim who will testify that he was the sole son of his father. And there was no brother. Could that work, Mario?
Maybe.
Not maybe. If two Adim come into court and say, we knew this family and they only had one son, Maury.
Yeah.
Then you have Adis.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
So Rav Chisda told him, yes, normally that's the rule. But when we have people like you, we have to reverse. By the way, guys, it's similar like to Shvua. Remember, normally you take a Shvua and you don't pay. But remember, if the opposite, if he's not trustworthy, the Shvua goes to the other person. So we
Mhm.
see this sort of ping pong in other areas in halacha. So Amar le Sod Sov, Asu Sadi v'lo Masadi. If you're worried about my status, then even the witnesses I bring, maybe they're lying because they're afraid of me. Amar Tarti Lo Avdi. We're not concerned that you're going to cause two evil things. That they're not going to tell the truth and they're going to mamish tell a complete lie. So that's an interesting concept too. L'sof asu tzadi da'achu. In the end, Aiden came to say he's the brother. Amar lei, liflug linami mi pardese uvustani de shasal. You know, our father died 10 years ago. I want you to divide with me all the money that you gathered from orchards that you and the parks that you planted. I want to divide all of that as well. Because in retrospect, I'm the Yorish of all of that with you. So Omer Lei, so Rav Chisda said to Mori, Shaper Karmelacha. He has a point. A person dies and he leaves adult children and minor children. The adults meanwhile go to work and they improve the assets and everything. They don't keep all of it. The Gedolim can't claim that they did the work and they only get the profits. They might be able to claim like management fee, but we're talking about the improvement of the land that's divided with all the brothers. Let's stop here.
Shkoyach.
Tomorrow 8 o'clock. Right?
Shkoyach, Ernie.
Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, correct.
All right.